What is up, everybody? Sarah Herring here for PokerNews, and we are just going to break down and kind of discuss and talk a little bit about the banned player controversy, which has been sort of buzzing throughout the news cycle for the last week or so. And we've got an official response from GG. We've got Fedor Holz sort of breaking things down, and just for those who missed it, I wanted to talk just a little bit about the story as a whole. So, how did everything sort of get kicked off? How did it start? There was a tweet from Stuart Rudder which read, GG has now banned for life, with funds returned, a number of cash players for being bad for the ecology, i.e. for winning too much. Given that this is unprecedented, why is the poker world not more angry about this? So fair enough, this kicks off a conversation, and a lot of players, of course, had, per the usual, many different responses to this. Now, clearly, Bryn Kenny has some skin in the game as an ambassador for GGPoker, one of the OGs from GGPoker. That being said, he's also, never shied away from sharing his either popular or unpopular opinions. He said, honestly, I think it should be super standard in any gaming business that people can be banned for any reason they see fit as long as money is paid. Guys just bum hunting cash and just waiting for VIPs are not good for any site for the ecology of games. And this is clearly a conversation that the poker community has been having for some time. The ecology, or the focus on ecology, I think is something that we've really been talking a lot about, and especially I think a lot of these sites are trying to look at, and how do we maintain, a place where people want to come, and where, traditionally more recreational players feel more comfortable to come. So that being said, all of those factors being considered, in this particular instance, we're talking about a German player who, after this controversy sort of started sparking on Twitter, he went to 2+2 to explain his situation and to share that he was one of the players affected by this balance confiscation. And in his situation, it was around $180,000, which is a very significant amount of money, obviously. He gave his sort of timeline, and it started out on Natural 8, which is a skin of the GG network. So for those who don't understand, a skin, it's basically as if GGPoker has created a platform, right? And then it offers that platform for other people to make their site using. And Natural 8 is a skin on the GG network, and there are several other skins on the GG network. And basically what this player said is that he said, quote, they said if I came back to play there, they would proceed with their security protocol, whatever that meant. I asked, but they wouldn't give me a clear statement on either what they meant by that or what I'd done wrong. So he proceeds to release a screenshot, which is what he had received from Natural 8, detailing the reason for his ban. And I will plug that in here. But basically, I think sort of anytime you're looking at the word soup of some type of situation like this, it's key to trying to understand what they're saying. It says, we at GG Network strive to provide a safe and fun environment for all users of our network. Although poker is a game of skill, upon the investigation of the security team, we have concluded that the U did not satisfy the poker ecology requirements set out in our security and ecology agreement. We've verified from your records that you have engaged in the act of predatory behavior outlined in Rule 2 of our agreement, which is not tolerated on our network. And it goes on to explain that if we verify that you've returned to play on our network, then we will have no choice but to proceed in accordance with our policies. Like, sincerely, GG Network. So 3 years later, this player creates an account on a different GG Network skin called Best Poker. He's playing again there. Then he moves to Bet Kings after Bet Poker, and then eventually finally on to GGPoker. And he claims he was unaware that GGPoker and Natural 8 were affiliated under the same network. So when you're looking at this letter and it says from GG Network and please don't play on GG Network again, at first glance, I would say for sure, how do you not know that GGPoker is part of GG Network? But I can also, if we're just playing devil's advocate and wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt, also 3 years ago, maybe you don't even remember what the network is. You just remember being banned from Natural 8. And I don't think it's necessarily a automatic, go-to understanding that Natural 8 would be under the umbrella of GG. I don't know. I mean, most players are extremely astute and careful with almost everything they do with their money and depositing. And, I definitely think you can make a case for either side in this situation. Now, after he's on GGPoker, he said he was able to verify his account and he deposited $50K and began playing. He was losing and everything seemed to be going fine. But then GGPoker, and I have a feeling a lot of this, it has to do with being able to stream. It had to do with the WSOP coming up, but GGPoker began instituting a policy of revealing the real names of their players. And as a result, they went through a whole series of verifications again. And so during this time of re-verifying, it seems like this is when GGPoker realized he had already been banned on other skins, which were theirs. So, I mean, what GG has, they did, I think, a lot of research. They went into trying to figure out exactly what had happened. And they've explained that, with all of the skins that exist under them, they don't always have all of the verification details from those. And so as a result, they weren't able to see or realize any of this stuff until they had gone through this real name verifications. And I think that's, that might very well be. The argument on the other side is that everything was going fine when he was losing, and then he really started to win, and that when he really started to win, this is when the confiscation happened. So as a gesture of goodwill, GGPoker agreed to provide the player with his $50,000 original deposit back, and took the rest of the money and distributed it to the players who had lost to this player. So they didn't probably have to do that. I'm not an attorney, but I would argue that in this situation, that might have been sort of a compromise, or sort of just a good gesture, at least, give someone their part of their bankroll back if possible. But I'm sure lots of players, don't see it like that. I think this is it's an interesting spot. And the poker community, of course, per the usual, has got a lot of strong opinions, very much polarized. Someone that I think that has been for the most part in the poker community, very much in the good graces of people, and someone who has been considered to be a person of great integrity, but who also is associated with GGPoker, has come forward on Twitter to share his thoughts and his understanding, both as a player and from the GG Network side. And he said, I wanted to address the Dud1 case on GG that he posted about on 2+2 to share the perspective I've gained from talking to the management and looking into the case. From everything I've seen so far, the integrity and quality of security at GG has been up to very high standards. Dud has been initially banned from 2016 from Natural 8 with a warning, do not attempt to play a GG Network again. GG's standard procedure after this initial warning is to confiscate funds to disincentivize banned players to return. Otherwise, there would be no effect. He created a new account within the GG Network that he played on. The account hasn't been immediately flagged because of a lot of the provided information didn't match with the initial account he created. Only after a recent internal check, he's been flagged. Following the procedure, his account has been banned and funds confiscated. This is not a scheme to steal from players. The money's been distributed between the players he won from. Given the long time frame that passed, detecting it, they decided to refund him his $50K deposit. I understand there's a lot of room to jump to conclusions here, but I can assure you that this is not a practice to profit from players. They are following their internal security protocol to make sure to grow a healthy poker ecosystem. Not too long after this, he, of course, he received a ton of hate and a ton of backlash, and he responded by saying, I understand there's a lot of hate coming my way for my latest post about Duty. I'm trying my best to gather as much information as I can and share Gigi's perspective on it as well. To create more transparency, I find myself in a difficult position, but I'll do my best. Gigi's also made a comment, and I will show that. They've broken down their perspective on the timelines, and of course, they want to keep this from happening in the future. But it opens up a very interesting question about the policies on quote unquote bum hunting and predatory behavior. And, I personally have heard from tons of clients that this bum hunting is a pretty big issue and that it's a difficult one to address, and that if, as any sort of business or industry, if you don't want to accept someone's business, obviously that's your own business. The policies are already in place, but on the flip side, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And if this is somebody's business and this is their industry, it's just it's a difficult spot. So if we look at, this is what GG defines as their, they only take this drastic step in confiscating funds if one of these three main types of actions happens. Usage of bots, real-time solvers, advanced chart-string gameplay, and malicious software circumvention to gain advantage on others. 2, ignoring a permanent ban, notice, and trespassing. Or 3, repeated cheating and violations of our terms and conditions. So, they want to make clear that it's, winning players do not just get their money taken. And I think, if you look also at some real life situations, I know some people, some friends, if you will, who've been trespassed from casinos in Vegas, and it's 100% against the law. If you get trespassed from somewhere and then you return to that place, whether or not you understand, and there's, I think a clear parallel. For example, Caesars owns lots of casinos in Vegas, but just because maybe you don't realize that Caesars owns Harrah's, it doesn't mean that you couldn't get arrested for trespass if you are trespassed from Caesars properties. So I think I'm fairly certain that legally GG Poker is for sure got to be in the right here. It's written out in their terms and conditions, and I do think that the gesture of at least providing the initial deposit back is generous and not necessary. That being said, if it's scaring other players, that's unfortunate. But maybe it's just making rec players or whales, super excited. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation, and I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, and we will of course be keeping you guys up to date as we have just entered finally the main event of the World Series of Poker Online bracelet series on GG Poker. This is a huge guarantee, and I'm really excited to see how this whole thing plays out. And PokerNews has recently launched, in the last month or so, a Discord channel. If you guys want to jump in, be a part of the conversation, definitely check out the PokerNews Discord. I will include the information and links below. And of course, keep your cursor locked on our live reporting. Thank you so much for checking it out. I'm Sarah Herring. You're watching PokerNews.com.